as we look at some of these strange events sometimes that happen around us, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that gives me protection? Not just me, but protects people around us, property, senseless destruction, no matter what the reasoning might be for those who cause destruction, is pointless. But at the same time, all of us know that this happens all the time. It's not anything new. It's been going on forever. After all, one of the important things that we look up to as a reference guide for just about everything we do is Mahabharata. And apparently, like Acharya says that based on his calculations, something like 1/5 of the population on earth at that time got killed. If you have to scale it to today's numbers, we are talking about, imagine if there were to be something happen and 1 billion people died or something like that in that conflict. Imagine how intense and how, for people who are caught up in that, what it might look like, how disturbing it might be, how scary it might be. And it sort of begs the question, what can you and I do, if at all anything? Or are we merely helpless spectators in this constant struggle and fight between Devata Shaktis and Asuri Shaktis? Who is on the side of Devatas, who is on the side of Asuri Shaktis, is a matter of opinion. You and I may not agree with that. But we all have to agree that the struggle does happen. And that is something that none of us can stop. Sometimes it plays out in front of us, and sometimes it plays out inside us. If it plays out outside us, it can be scary. But sometimes when it plays out inside us, we are very casual about that. But the destruction, there is always a one-to-one correspondence between Brahmanda and Pindanda. There's a relationship between the macro universe and the micro universe. And I cannot go change what happens in the macro universe. I cannot even change what happens inside me. However, if there is anything at all that I can do, I need not be a helpless spectator, because that is the teaching, essential teaching of Bhagavad Gita. What Shri Krishna told Arjuna is that you have to fight, and because to fight for Dharma is a Kshatriya's duty. I may look at myself and say, I'm not a Kshatriya, so I don't have to fight anything. Well, fighting is excuse me. Fighting, is I'm sort of loosely using that word. Struggling is probably a better word. Struggle internally. Instead of idly just sitting there and saying that, okay, these Devata Shaktis, Asuri Shaktis, let them do whatever they want inside. I'm just a mere spectator because I'm way too small for, doing anything at all with all these forces. If you were to sort of map that thinking to the battlefield, imagine if all the soldiers say, oh, there are generals, there are big guys, and I'm too small. I'm way too small in this army. And it doesn't matter what I do. I'm just one lonely guy doing some random things. So that's not going to affect the outcome of the war. He says, all the soldiers said that, you know what's going to happen. So it is not so much about where I am in this hierarchy, how big or small I am, but to take part in this struggle against adharma and for dharma constantly is what Shri Krishna preached. And he also told us that if we were to do that, then he's going to be on our side. He not only will guide us and take us where we need to be, but like he said, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paripaste Tesham Nityabhiktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. So, if you believe that, if you have faith in that, and if you experience that, more than anything else, if you experience that, past experience should guide present thought. I cannot have a thought process today which doesn't learn from the experience of yesterday. Because when I do that, I keep making mistakes over and over again. So when I look back, any of us, when we look back, we will see many struggles that we went through internally, sometimes externally. And today, the fact that you and I are sitting here, talking to each other, is Sakshi. That is the evidence that what Shri Krishna said is true. Because if that was not true, if he did not take care of us, then you and I would not be sitting here today. So that alone is proof that what Shri Krishna said is correct. And I hope and pray that as people struggle all across the country, I'm talking about in the US, it's not something nice happened yesterday, but some people think something terrible happened yesterday. And it's all matter of opinion. And many a time these opinions are very carefully sculpted by the media and forces that want you to think a particular way. No matter what your opinion is, no matter what you think, no matter what you would like to think, you cannot but help admit that behind anything and everything that happens, Shri Krishna has to be there. He has to be there. He will always be there. So the question is not whether something that happens is not Harichitta. Everything that happens is Harichitta. Whether we like it or not, it's Harichitta. So we don't want to assume that he doesn't know what's good. He doesn't know what is Dharma. And somehow I have to define that. Somehow I had to define for him as if he messed up. And I need to tell him, oh, this is wrong. Don't you know this? This is Dharma, that is Adharma. Who are we to preach to Shri Krishna what Dharma is and what Adharma is? Like again Shri Krishna said, it is easy to say, Satyam vada dharmam chara, but like he rightly pointed out, that's all fine. But for you to figure out what is Dharma and what is Satya is not that easy. Because anything that happens, its impact may happen 100 years from now, 200 years from now, and I may not even be here to witness that. And what is happening today might be an outcome of something that happened 200 years ago. Again, I might not have been there to witness that. So our time, the time window that we use to determine whether something is right or wrong, something is dharma or adharma, is very, very short, very short. And secondly, we don't see the connections. We really don't see the connections. We look at things as if they are all disconnected. I've used this analogy before, and I'll do it again because the context is right. Acharya Madhva said that, well, he didn't use these words, but these are my words. This is my way of looking at it. But he said the world is a complete graph. And those of you who studied mathematics and graph theory know that in a complete graph, all the nodes are connected to, every node is connected to every other node. So there's an arc that is connecting any two given nodes. And every node is connected to every other node. So you say, how many nodes are there in this complete graph? Well, there are infinite number of nodes, which means there have to be infinite number of arcs, which means that Shri Krishna is the only one who can figure out this logistics. And these nodes being either situations or jivas, actions, whatever it might be, they're all connected. Everything is connected. How can I, sitting here at one point in time, whose vision is limited to a very short time window, whose vision is limited to a very small amount of space, both desha and kala, very, very limited, very limited. If I don't see these arcs, I don't know where they're connected, I don't know where they're going. How in the world can I sit and analyze and come to a conclusion and say this is dharma, this is adharma? Secondly, I've also said before, and again I'll repeat myself, that these nodes and arcs, they exist at different frequencies. Suppose I'm colorblind. Suppose I cannot see all the colors. I can only see black lines. My world is black and white. Right and wrong, black and white. But these arcs exist in so many different colors. I need to have the bandwidth in my vision to really see all these arcs. And I may not have that vision. Somebody else might see a few arcs and tell me, hey, this is connected to that. I look at the same thing and say, no, I don't see it. Well, just because I don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It also doesn't mean that somebody else cannot see it. So dharma and adharma are extremely difficult, very, very difficult for us to figure out. I would almost claim that it's impossible for us to figure out. Then the question is, what do we do then? Do we just throw up our hands and just say, well, I don't know what is Dharma and what is Adharma, so I'm not going to fight? Again, if you go back to the Gita, that is not the answer. To admit that I don't know is fine. And that is what Arjuna did, right? To admit that I don't know. He admits to Shri Krishna and says, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It all seems very dark to me. I only see relatives in front of me. I see my teachers in front of me. And I don't feel like fighting these people. But Shri Krishna's answer to that is, you may not see, but I do see. And I'm the one driving the chariot. I'm the Parthasarathi. I'm the one driving the chariot. I'm the Sarathi. So why do you want to assume that I don't know where to take you? I will take you there too. So at the end of the day, it's not that I can figure out what is Dharma and what is Adharma. I just go and do what I do, whatever my Dharma is. Wherever he takes me and says, go sit here and do this. If I'm a teacher, if that is my Dharma, I go teach where he takes me. And sometimes he takes me to very strange places, to very unexpected places and totally unexpected people who sometimes I don't even know they exist. It happened just a few days ago, and I don't want to bore you with details, but it actually happened. There's some family I don't even know, I never heard of them, I didn't know they exist. But I was taken there and said, go do your thing. So I quietly go sit there, do my thing, and I walk out. So whatever my Dharma is, whatever I do, it is not for me to decide where I should do my Dharma. When I'm using that word Dharma now, I'm talking about my nature, what I do. I was telling another person yesterday that this person is a mother, and I was telling this person, when she asked me, what do I do best? What is the best way for me to contribute something to society? My thing is, you're a mother, and your children are your contribution to society. So take a good hard look at what kind of children you're offering to society, because it is these same children who are going to be adults very quickly in a few years. And they're going to decide what they'll do in society. What kind of thought process do they have? What kind of discipline do they have? That niyantrana, all of us, you and I being adults, it's easy for us to realize that self-control is a very, very important aspect of our doing anything at all. It doesn't matter what we do. Because there's so many situations we don't like. So many people we don't like. Stuff happens in life, right? I cannot get angry every single time. I cannot say everything should happen the way I want. I cannot sit and cry, I cannot yell, I cannot scream. I have to learn to accept that every single thing is Harichitta. Every single thing, whether I like it or not, is Harichitta. My job is to just go sit there and do the best I can. Whatever it might be. It's not for me to judge. It is not for me to tell Shri Krishna where I should be taken. I cannot say, oh, I don't like this person. I don't like this house. Take me somewhere else. Doesn't he know where he should take me? If he is the Sarathi, if he is the Sarathi with a capital S, If He's the only one who knows with no boundaries of Desha and Kala, knows everything, why the heck should I assume that He doesn't know where to take me? Why should I feel sad about that? When I look around, there are many things I actually is not something that I enjoy. I sometimes I have to do things I don't enjoy. Sometimes I wish I was doing something else that's more dear to me. But hey, it is what it is. How do I know that what I'm doing is not the best thing for other people? How do I know that? I don't know that. I don't even know who is being affected by what. I don't even know that. So if I really, honestly, not just, quoting some shloka from Gita, not just saying, hey, Hare Krishna, but actually try to implement this for a change, then I know from experience, so do you, as a matter of fact. You know that too. You know that extremely well. Because if you look back, whoever you are, whatever your experiences are, if you just look back, there have been many situations with very low probability, extremely low probability of something happening, where when you did the right thing, when you surrendered to Him, He did take you to the right place. He did give you the opportunity. And He did look after your safety. So how can I sit here and say, oh, that's just some shloka in Bhagavad Gita, I have to take care of myself, I have to look at opportunities, I have to look for this, I have to look for that, I have to look after myself, I have to look after my wife, I have to look after my children. Oh, I can't even look after myself. I cannot even create opportunities for myself. Yoga and Kshema. So where is the question of me doing for somebody else when I cannot even do it for myself? However, to depend on Him, to believe His words, to actually have faith in what He told us. If we do that, at least I have no doubt. And I don't have a doubt because I am basing it on my own personal experiences. It happens every single day. Every single day. I know that there are situations that could have turned very different. If you just look at ourselves, look at all the things we are surrounded by. How many of us even dreamt of something? We didn't even know such things existed, let alone dream of that. Many of us did not know. That may not be true for you, but for many of us it is true. What we were surrounded by, we did not even know that many of these luxuries, many of these opportunities, many of these comforts, we didn't even know what that meant. And yet, today we are sitting here enjoying all these things. We take it for granted, but it can as easily go away as easily as it came. Why should I assume that these are things that I earned and I get to keep it? It's not mine. It's His. letting me use it for a while. When he chooses that I don't deserve it anymore, he takes it away. It's for him to judge when I should have something, when I should not have something. It's okay either way. Wherever he takes me, whatever I do, there's just one thing that's important. That is that he should be the Sarathi. If he steps down and somebody else sits there, you and I have a problem. Most of the problems come when we kick him out of the chariot and I take charge or try to put somebody else in charge. Let them drive it or let I try to drive it. Almost always it's a disaster. Almost always. But when he's sitting there, when he's driving that thing, there's never a problem. Never ever a problem for any of us. And the outcome, here's the thing, right? So again, if you go think of Mahabharata, there are two armies, sets of generals, they're all good, they know what they're doing, so they're fighting. The question is not fighting itself, the question is what is the outcome? There are people died on this side, there are people died on that side. There are people who were hurt on this side, there are people hurt on that side. But what was the outcome of that struggle, of that war? The outcome was good for the side where Krishna was. That's it. It's that simple. I don't need to be a great philosopher to figure that out. And I look at that and say, okay, so in my daily struggles, in your daily struggles, what will be the outcome? It's very simple. Like it has always been like that. It is now and it will be in the future too. Even if the other side seems like the other side is winning, even in Mahabharata, there were instances where it seemed like the other side was on the verge of winning. But they did not. The interesting is the outcome. Look, the outcome. And every single instance, Shri Krishna made sure that the side on which he was, this is not partiality, he is on the side of the Dharma. And he always made sure that no matter what, he was there protecting, guiding, and taking care of those people who believed in him and who were fighting on the side which he said was Dharma. It's not what I think is Dharma, because the Kauravas probably thought that what they were doing was Dharma too, many of them. If you look at Karna, for example, he had his own theory as to why he thought that he should serve Duryodhana. And he thought he was doing the right thing. He really did. It's not a question of what I think is right and wrong. It's not what I think is Dharma and Adharma. It is what Shri Krishna says that is Dharma and Adharma. And you say, well, I don't know. I mean, Shri Krishna doesn't come and tell me what's right and what's wrong. How am I supposed to know? I mean, Mahabharata is fine, that was Avatara time, so Krishna is there, okay, so that's easy. But what about you and me? Again, if he's sitting inside, and if you allow him and say that, look, I sort of give up in a way, okay? I give up trying to figure out where to go, what to do. You guide me. I'll completely leave it to you. Completely leave it to you. But I'm like a happy warrior. So wherever you take me, that's where, with a smile on my face, whether I like it, don't like it, I keep fighting. I keep doing my thing. If you do that, why do you want to assume that He will not take care of your Yoga and Kshema? Because if you don't believe that, then that means that both of us are wasting our time, okay? Because if you actually don't believe in that, if we actually don't believe in Krishna, then I'm a Nastika. Then I have a different type of life, different type of thinking, which is fine, if that's what one wants to do. But if I'm an Astika, if I'm a believer, if I actually live my life with the faith that Shri Krishna will guide me, if I live with that faith that there is nothing bigger, nothing greater than being His servant, then I'm an Astika. I'm a believer. I live my life a particular way. I don't get excited about anything, good or bad. I don't go into depressions. I don't go into ecstatic, crazy partying about something. Everything is tempered. Everything is tempered, good and bad. Because in my focus, there's only one thing. And that one thing is that the only thing that is steady in this world, both with respect to time and space. Everything else is changing. Everything else is changing around me. People come and go. My situation changes. My health, one day is not the way it is another day. One day I have plenty of money, another day I don't have money. I mean, these things change. Constantly they are changing. In the middle of all this change, instead of getting rattled by the change, good or bad, sometimes getting overly excited in a positive way, sometimes getting all depressed because something did not go the way I wanted. If I focus on that one, just one thing, only one thing, the only thing that is steady, in this universe, there was nothing ever that was, at any point in time, in any place, that was steady other than Shri Krishna. Whether you call Him Krishna or not, other than Bhagavanta, other than God, whatever you want to say. There's nothing else that was steady. Just look at yourself. Just look at your situation. Hopefully today it is good. Or maybe it was good yesterday. Or maybe it will be good tomorrow. I don't know. You don't know either. None of us know. So go back to the Gita. I just want to, it's important, right? It's really important that we sort of like look at Bhagavad Gita in a somewhat serious way, not just keep a copy of Bhagavad Gita and read some random shlokas or some random translations in English or whatever. But dwell on that a little bit. You know a shloka. Yesterday morning I woke up and told my wife and somebody else. And I just woke up and there's one shloka that I don't know why it just sort of came to the surface. Nainam Chintan, you know that Shri Krishna said that He was talking about us, all of us, the Jiva. And He said, no weapon can destroy it. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot wet it. and wind cannot make it dry. You know that shloka, it's a very famous one, right? And they translate it like that, they said, oh no, shastra, no weapon can cut it, fire cannot burn it, and so on. If you think about it, Shri Krishna could have just said the jiva is not a jada vastu and just leave it at that. Because if you want to cut something, you want to burn something, you want to wet something, whatever, you need a material object to do that. Right? You cannot take a ball of energy and burn it. Whereas you can take an object, a material object, and burn it. So you could have just said, hey, let me just tell you that the jiva is not a material object, and just leave it at that. Why did you have to say, shastra cannot cut it, fire cannot burn it, water cannot wet it? Is this redundancy? Or is there something more to it than that? Let's think about that a little bit. A shastra, any weapon, for something to be cut in half, my body can be cut in half, but I cannot be cut in half. No, it's not so much about cutting it in half, but the thing is that there is no weapon in this universe that can actually penetrate this thing and do damage, as in disintegration. So if you think about that a little bit deeper, obviously we're not talking about any, like a knife or scissors or something, because he's already said it's not a material object. So whenever you say shastra, I may think of a knife, I may think of a gun, or because those are things I've been told, that's what I've seen my whole life, that these are the weapons which people use to harm other people, or these are the things that people use to destroy some material object, right? Obviously we're not talking about that. So what weapon can anyone use to actually try to change the shape or disintegrate something that is not material? In reality, if you take energy, if you take the Chetana, it's not so much energy, but as you know, the Jiva Swarupa is Jnana and Ananda. So what is it that can destroy that Jnana and Ananda? The only thing that can actually cut that is Ajnana. Not even Viparita, Ajnana, that is the opposite of that. So Shri Krishna says, look, the Jiva itself, if you look at that, it is made in my image. So he says, not me, Krishna. This Jiva is a pratibimba, is an image of him, of that bimba. Right? We've heard these words. But when he says there is no shastra that can destroy this, he's telling us that one thing we call ajnana, it really cannot destroy you. it really cannot do anything to the jiva. Then he said, then okay, fine, then what does it do? Where does it exist and what does it do? Because if I'm a pratibimba of him, and as a pratibimba, I'm a finite, my defect, if you want to call it that, is that I'm limited, I'm finite. And that I can be shaped and distorted by things outside. I can be bent out of shape, but the nature of what's inside cannot be destroyed. So he's telling me that, look, when he says that there is no shastra, there is no weapon that can cut and destroy the jiva, that cannot cut and destroy you, there is nothing. The way I see it is that ajnana cannot really penetrate and destroy me. Then what can it do? Well, it can penetrate and destroy the things in which I'm sitting at this point in time. It's not just the Annamaya Kosha, it's not just the body. It can destroy, it can cut, penetrate and destroy the Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha. If you just take the first three. The Anandamaya Kosha, nothing can be done. That's what he's telling me. Anandamaya Kosha cannot be touched. The Vijnanamaya Kosha, Pranadevru is there. Those are all tough ones. For a Shastra to penetrate the Chitta, it has to fight Pranadevru. Okay, let it try that. We'll see what happens. But there are two other things which is non-physical that are there, that can be penetrated, it can be destroyed or distorted or harmed. And those two things are this Pranamaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha. My Prana Shakti can decrease. My mental state can be all messed up by Ajnana. So what Shri Krishna is telling us is that, look, don't be scared. Don't worry, don't be scared. Because whatever happens to your mind, what Prana Shakti you have and all these things, the innermost core, that is Jnana and Ananda, that can never be penetrated. There is a safety, it's good to know that, right? It's good to know that no matter what is happening, it's sort of like this, right? Like, something happens, let's say I have something happens to my leg or something like that. I look at that and I say, oh, there's some stupid thing on my leg and I need to fix that. I'm not going to sit and say, oh my God, is this in my Jiva Swarupa? I don't think, not even an idiot will think that. Right? But even the smart ones think that when the Pranamaya Kosha or the Manomaya Kosha, when that is hit, when something happens there, you start thinking, oh my God, it happened to me. I don't feel good. I am depressed. It's all about me. I. So Shri Krishna is saying, no, it's not you. You are fine. You are actually fine. It's only these outer layers that can be hurt, not the innermost layer. Nothing can happen there. Nothing. And if you go one step further, it says fire cannot destroy that. Fire cannot burn it. Well, I was just thinking of one of the songs. Some of you have heard this new CD, and there's a song in that called Bara Kumbara, in which there's a line that says, Ni kotta ee tapa nannanu endugu sududu, or something like that. I don't remember the exact words I wrote, but this is what Shri Krishna is saying. So what does that mean? What does a fire do? If you put anything in the fire, it becomes bhasma. It changes form. It gets purified too, but it changes form. What you put in is not what was left when the fire is gone. But he's telling us that, look, no matter what, it's not so much some big fire burning, but the tapa, that the tapatraya, adhyatma, adhibhuta, adhidaiva, whatever type of tapa I'm given, whatever is there, again, it never touches the jiva. It never ever, it cannot burn the jiva. Endigu nannu sudadu. It cannot burn me. How can any tapa in this life, any difficulty, whatever, anything which you and I might consider negative or difficult, how can that even touch Jnana and Ananda, which is the Jiva Swarupa? Then the flip side, you say, well, yeah, okay, fine, that's fine. It cannot change the form, but does it also mean that it cannot purify? Purification. The answer to that is, the thing that needs purification is not so much the jiva, it is my mind that needs purification. It is my intellect that needs purification. But if I have self-realization and I can look at things from those eyes in the Jiva Swarupa, there are no issues. It is only when I'm looking at things from the outer layers is when all of this, so the heat, the tapa, can change the form, which is good. If it changes the form of my mind, it purifies them. That is good. So if my mind has a form that is all distorted and messed up, and I'm suffering from that. If that form is actually destroyed and purified and changed into something that is pure, why would I not want that? But the jiva itself, he says, this tapa doesn't, my problem is that it's sort of like, if there's a hot object and I go hold that, then I feel the heat. But if I don't touch that, I don't feel anything. It can be whatever temperature, it doesn't matter. So the innermost core, Shri Krishna is telling us that nothing can. Then he said, then why the heck do I feel that? Well, feel that because we do not allow the mind to be purified, the whole mental plane, or even the pranamaya kosha. We don't allow that energy to be purified. And therefore, as long as I'm residing in this shell, I feel that. The moment you get out of that shell, you don't feel that. Right? Everybody knows that. Like if you have doctor sitting here, if somebody is living in a diseased body, it's only when you're in that body that it's the body that is diseased, not you. Right? It is the body that has the problem, not you. You don't have a problem. I cannot have some whatever, pick something, sugar problem or whatever, right? It's the body that has that, not me, right? The jiva is not sitting there popping sugar pills into its mouth. It's the body that is doing that. When I identify myself with that body, then I say, I have a problem. You don't have a problem. Your body has a problem. Now that can be fixed maybe. That's a different issue. Whether it can be fixed, not fixed, that's a totally different issue. But you don't have anything. You're Jnanananda Swarupa. He says, water cannot wet that. Water cannot wet that. If you think about it, water. What is this water? We use this analogy, right? That Sat, Rajas and Tamas. Benki, Neeru, Mannu, right? Something that goes upwards, something that flows sideways, and something that goes downwards. So we already talked about what goes upwards. Agni, fire. Right? Now he's talking about what goes sideways. The Rajasika Manovritti. Right? Something that flows wherever. Each day is a different thing. I want this, I want that. I want to party, I want to eat something, I want to drink something, I want to enjoy something, da 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 da. Never ending. But he says, water cannot wet that thing. What thing? That jiva. It cannot wet that. Which means that even though the jiva, when it gets encapsulated, these are all somewhat difficult philosophical concepts, but I don't know why I'm even saying these things. But the jiva, when it gets encapsulated in this what people refer to as lingadeha, right? When it comes in contact with nature, immediately the three gunas are there, right? We're all bound by that. As nature, there's nothing I can do about that. There is a certain amount of sat, certain amount of rajas, certain amount of tamas. There's nothing I can do about that. That's my guna. That is not Jiva Swarupa is Jnanananda. It is when it is encapsulated. So when it's in contact with nature, when it's in contact with nature, I have the Sat and the Rajas and the Tamas. Right? But that Rajasika Manovritti, he says that, yeah, you do all these things, you want to party, you want to do random things, whatever. But that's not really wetting the jiva, so to speak. Right? Because if you think about it, so when an object becomes wet, what happens? It becomes kind of soggy, right? I mean, that's what happens. Like if I take a piece of paper or something, put it in water, it becomes wet, it becomes soggy, right? It's not dry, it may be a piece of cloth or paper or whatever. What Shri Krishna is telling is that, look, man, the jiva itself cannot become soggy. Okay? It cannot. It is beyond that. It cannot get soggy. And if something becomes very dry, if you take all the water content out of something, when wind blows, it makes the water evaporate and what left is dry. That dry thing is what? That dry material, the tamasic component. Is just so he's actually covering all three things, right? He's actually, what he's actually talking about is, this is a very interesting thing. So he's saying that the jiva exhibits its guna, the sat, rajas and tamas, when it is in contact with nature, that is true. However, the jiva itself is jnanananda swarupa. So what is exhibited outside, what is felt by the jiva, because of this association with the universe, with this samsara, in reality it's not touching you. His thing is, why the heck are you worried? Because you are my image. You are my pratibimba. You are Jnanananda Swarupa too. Yes, you are limited. Yes, you are finite. And more than anything else, you are dependent on me. The dependency and the finite form is our limitations. He is unlimited, he is Ananta, whereas I'm finite. We talked about some other thing. But I'm finite. I'm finite in how much Jnana and Ananda I can have. There's limitation. That's okay. But the Swarupa is the same. The nature is the nature of that. When I say nature, I'm not talking about Prakriti. The nature of that Jnana and Ananda is the same as him. The other difference between me and him, he tells me, is that he is independent. He is the only independent entity in this whole universe. He is the only independent entity in the whole universe. Everything else, all of us are dependent on him. If he says, go here, you have to go. If he says, shut up, you have to shut up. If he have to say, do something else, you have to do something. The dependency is there, right? Independently, we cannot do anything. We cannot do anything independently. So the dependency and that finite limit are our limitations. And the dependency is that Bimba Pratibimba connection. And that is this Dvasaparna, the two birds sitting there inside. Bhagavad Gita, every shloka, we need to not read some translation, but we need to think about it. Like I said, I don't think this is just something that occurred to me. I'm just sharing it with you. I mean, it may not even make sense to you. Actually, it will make no sense to you. So he's talking some crazy stuff, But I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I'm just sharing with you what occurred to me. And my point is that all of these things, that manana, that contemplation, will lead to this discovery of these wonderful things that Shri Krishna tells us. I cannot figure out anything in Bhagavad Gita. What can I figure out? That's all crap. I cannot do anything. There's nothing I can do. However, when I'm trying, this Parthasarthi will come sit there and take you where you need to go. Again, I circle back to the same concept. The question is, are you allowing him to do that or not? Are you taking charge and say, no, I'm going to do this. I know what's good for me. If I get this, I'm going to be happy. If I don't get this, I'm going to be sad. And da. Then, okay, fine. His thing is, okay, go ahead. Do your thing. But if he is the Parthasarathi, then he will always take us where we need to go. Always. You never ever have to question and say, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What is going on? Nothing going on. The only thing that is going on is this constant struggle between Dharma and Adharma. That's what's going on. And we are all caught in that. We are all caught in that thing, in that Mahabharata. Every day. Every single day. So there is no need to fear. Let the struggle happen outside. Let the sirens scream. Let the police cars and the fire engines go by. No need to fear. No need to fear. Because Shri Krishna is inside. And he said, and I believe, he said, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. That's the important thing. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Ye janaha paripasate tesham nityabhi, always, nityabhi yuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyam. That's what Shri Krishna said. So let us all surrender to that Partha Sarathi and go where he takes us. Do his work. It is his work, not my work. It is his work. Because I'm a servant. What do servants do? They serve. That's what they do. So wherever he takes us, whatever he says do it. Smile on your face. Say Krishnarpanamastu. Say thank you for letting me do this. And just leave it at that. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.